Okay, I want to remind everyone of the City of Perry's staff core values. It's a strong work ethic, problem solving, community oriented, shows professionalism and integrity, is a team player, accountable, and is a good steward. So could I have roll call, please?
Mahler,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Schott,
Yeah.
Klein. Yes.
Okay. And with that, we already reviewed the meeting agenda, and can we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Walling. Yep. Mahler.
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Klein. Yes.
Okay, next up is our consent agenda. It's the minutes of the February 3rd, 2025 regular city council meeting. No payments for contract services this time. Claims register and financials of $417,787.35. We do have one license and permit. It's the retail alcohol license for the Hy-Vee Food and Drug Store on 141, and it's basically a new manager, so we have to change the license to update for them. So could I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call?
Klein,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Walling. Yes. Schott.
Yeah.
City Administrators Report. Sven.
All right, well, this is my first day back in the saddle after being out a little bit, so getting through my emails and getting back on track as best I can, but wanted to start by inviting Josh and Jacob up. We received an award and wanted those two to talk about a little bit.
So we received an award a couple weeks ago from ICPA for the general aviation quality and complexity. So the two awards are sitting up front there. I think it was roughly 47,000 square yards for the paving. Exceeded the testing standards for FAA. All around good representation. And then it does also put us in the nomination for the next round for that as well. So
Wonderful. Good. Congratulations.
It's been a lot of work for that airport project and I'm getting the extension and runway done. And so it was nice to get a little bit of recognition for that, and kudos to the contractor. They did a really great job on all of the pours. So excited to have the runway behind us and just starting conversations on taxiway design. So that's the next one to come through. So cool.
Very good. Wonderful.
Good job, Josh. And then I just sent an email out this afternoon. Don't know if anybody has seen it yet, but in League of Cities, League Weekly, and the legislative update, they've been mentioning Leaders Day or Local Leaders Day, which is the League of Cities Day on the Hill in Des Moines. So that's March 4th. So check that email, check it out, and then let me know if you'd like to attend, and I can get a Perry contingent registered to go to that. So. And that's, I think, all I have. All I can remember. So.
Congratulations.
Congrats. Yeah.
Do you have photos that
The-
you share?
Yes, I can. Yeah, kudos goes to the wife. She did most of the work. So,
Good move.
not my first rodeo.
Okay, so mayor and council comments. I really don't have much to report today. So anybody have anything to bring up? Okay. I was hoping to check with Habitat, see if they've had any interest in those houses they have available, but I haven't gotten to touch base with him yet, but I'll try to do that for next
I
meeting.
have one of my tenants that has applied for one,
All right,
so,
good.
so I might have a place.
Okay. Well, we'll move on to open forum. So speakers will be asked to step up to the microphone and state their name and address for the record. Individuals speaking will be given 3 minutes to address the council. Is there any open forum requests today?
Just in time.
Sorry. Walked down without my paper. Be good. Whew. Lindsay Pasuti, representing the Perry Chamber of Commerce and the Perry Chamber Foundation tonight, located at 1124 Willis Avenue. I just wanted to provide a quick update since my last update on the Perry Business Support Grant Fund. So thank you again for your support for that, to boost the total grant of funds available to Perry businesses. So fundraising efforts continue with the Iowa Rural Development Council grant matched by Perry Economic Development and the City of Perry, plus business development funds from the Perry Chamber of Commerce Foundation. Together have enabled a total of $68,788 to be granted to Perry businesses. Altogether, the 16 proposed projects represent more than $341,000 of planned investment made by Perry businesses, with projects to ensure that they can continue to do business here in Perry. Total requests were $111,564. So you can do the math on how much skin in the game those businesses have and the gap that still remains from what was requested. Based on scoring of concept, implementation, and impact, 13 out of the 16 businesses will be receiving grant funds. 4 of those at 100%, 6 at about 2/3, and 3 at 50%. These funds will provide working capital to expand operations in a number of ways, some in equipment purchases, others in marketing efforts, and others with building improvements. In addition to the direct support of the grant program, we are working with several statewide resource partners to bring educational workshops and one-on-one consultations to Perry to further support these businesses. As I mentioned, the Chamber Foundation will continue its fundraising efforts, applying for other grants and working with community partners wishing to make a donation to support the program. Big takeaway here is that Perry businesses are struggling during economic hardships. So I just encourage the community to get out and shop local and support businesses however they're able to. But beyond that, the power of collaboration is inspiring with that public and private partnership, working together to make a difference in our community. So thanks again for your support. I look forward to providing additional updates in the future.
Did you?
Thank you.
It was brief, brisk. So.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Okay. Any questions for Lindsay? Okay. Any other public comment?
Actually, don't know if you want me to speak. I'm here about the vacating of the streets by the boundary, so I don't know if you want me.
Yeah, there'll be a public hearing. I think it's the
Yes.
next action.
So,
Yeah,
talk
so
about that.
you'll probably want to talk then.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so we will move on to that. So the next item of business is the first of our 3 public hearings today. It's to vacate streets in the city of Perry. Proposal would vacate a portion of Rawson Street between First and Second Street. First Street and west of Second Street along their southern portion of the alley that runs between First and Second. It is undeveloped, would be adjoined to the east and west sides by parcels that are owned by Van Kirk Storage LLC, and it is the city's intent to dispose of public right of way by sales to the adjoining property owner. So it is 6:09. We'll open the public hearing. So. Okay. Need to speak into the microphone, please.
So the Foundry reached out to us in the fall, and they are wanting to, just north of the Foundry, they own parcels and they are wanting to convert that over to parking. They're currently having issues and safety issues with their residents or with their employees parking across the street on the west side. So they're wanting to get rid of that parking lot and have parking on the east side, just north of the Foundry. So city staff met with Bolton and Mink and our Public Works Director and decided that we no longer have a need for this right of way. So the plan would be to vacate what's outlined in red, which is the right of way, and then the Van Kirks currently own what's outlined in blue. And so the plan would be pending tonight's approval and the readings to have all those be replatted into one lot and converted to the parking lot. We did send this to planning and zoning, and they did provide recommendation. And then with tonight's public hearing, I did send out a neighborhood notice for the residents that live abutting that alleyway. And I did receive a comment from Sherry Van Gundy at 1618 First Ave. While she was in favor of the parking lot in the future with that site plan, she did have concerns with the alleyway being vacated, mainly for snow removal. So she did bring up the comment of if potentially we could remove or not have any curbing on that alleyway section to allow for snow to be pushed through instead of just accumulated at the end of the alleyway. The curbing and all that stuff will come in the site plan process, which we'll bring to you later. But the access to the north off of Dawson will remain open, so there will be alleyway access via the north entrance. But all of the homes do have driveway access from their street, so from First Street and from Second Street. So I will open that up for discussion. And the engineer for the project is on via Zoom, and we also do have a representative with the Foundry, and then a resident that would like to speak.
So there was a plan to put a curb in the alley?
So with the construction of the parking lot, there will be curbing, on the parking lot pavement. With curbing, it would obviously be a little bit difficult to push snow beyond that.
Yeah.
So that was the residents' concern was, is snow just going to accumulate at the end of the alleyway? We have had those discussions with the Van Kirks about the site plan layout, and I believe, and I won't speak for them, but they are open to whether there's curbing or not, and have had discussions with Josh Public Works that either way will make sure that snow removal is maintained through the remainder of the alleyway and not in conflict with any of those residents.
So they would plan on using the alley for parking.
Yep. So here, let me go back to. So what you see outlined in red and then outlined in blue will all become one parcel and constructed to be a parking lot. I didn't show, we have a drafted site plan right now, but I didn't provide that just because it is still a draft. But there would be spaces kind of in that, I guess, alleyway section that would be for the parking.
It looks to me like on First Street, there's a residence that crosses the borderline.
That's a shadow.
Is that all it is?
That's a shadow. And
Oh,
that house is
okay.
gone.
Okay.
Yep, so
close.
so the house and I believe it's like an old storage building on two of those parcels that are owned by the Van Kirks. They demoed those last year.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all vacant right now.
Right, yep.
You haven't driven down First.
Anyone else like to come up to the microphone and speak, please?
So my name is Johnny Reeves. I live at 1610 First Avenue, and so I am the house on lot that are adjacent to where they're planning to put the parking. I did want to mention, I don't really have a problem with what they're doing. Kirk has kind of kept me apprised of what's going on. But I would mention that I only learned about this via another neighbor. So I don't know that all the neighbors are aware.
So we did send an neighborhood notice.
Did not receive it. Yeah, I literally learned about this shoveling snow. Just because another neighbor, I take care of their snow and it was mentioned to me that, hey, did you know this was happening? I had to go search for it to find that it was tonight, so. For me, it's not a problem. I do have a shed at the back of my property that is, would be where the red Is the blue is theirs?
Yes.
So
Are you just?
I'm just north, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, so. Yeah, so the only thing I would wanna make sure, yes, is that whatever is happening. So how that says it has a drawbridge drop, for me to get mowers in and out. But I would say that the neighbor that is not directly behind me, but on the other side of the alley and next to them, they use that alley very heavily, with trailers, vehicles, that kind of thing. And so the only, as I mentioned, I did not receive anything and was not aware of this. It probably, of all the neighbors, it's probably most impactful to them. So probably be good to reach, just reach out and make sure that they're here. Because they have a lot of traffic in and out of that end of the alley. But from my perspective, like I said, Kirk has kept me apprised. I don't have any problem with it. Happy to see it done. Have the area cleaned up. So.
Question from Molly. What are we emailing those? Is that what we're doing? Okay.
You're okay. It's just, it doesn't.
So I did mail a postcard. So yeah, I'm not sure why maybe some didn't get it, but I think
So the mailer is based off of what's on the assessor's page. So the assessor's page is based off of your taxes, and if it doesn't have a PO box on it, or if it's not an updated address, it's going to whatever the assessor has. It was a postcard.
Yeah.
I just got returned mail that didn't make it to somebody from, was it August?
That takes a long.
So it takes a long time for the post
And
office to send us the mail back when it doesn't get delivered properly, so.
And I
it
think
could be
there was
something
another,
along that line too.
was there another check today that didn't make it to
No.
City Hall? So I think there's,
Could or should we
Could.
maybe consider doing some door knockers or something in the future? Because that's probably
Yeah.
pretty alarming when you're like, oh, there's a big thing happening that I don't know about.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, and I do.
It's only probably about 10 houses max.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
no, and
Three on one side.
Yeah.
yeah, no, I really appreciate that feedback. I think we can be creative in other ways to make sure that those neighborhood notices get out to the appropriate.
And I do
I
think per the code, we have to mail
Shocking.
them.
Yeah,
But we can,
absolutely.
Alley's
Yep.
not there.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Cause I'm sure that people are coming off of Rossum and up the alley. Yeah,
Mhm.
I was gonna say, I've had to get out of the way of people that have driven up the
Yeah,
alley.
even when the gate is
Closed.
closed, sometimes the foundry has to be.
Yeah.
Closed because they're moving stuff and people just go around it in the parking lot and around.
I haven't walked there in the last couple of weeks, so.
I don't blame
Been a
you.
little chilly.
Anyone else have any comments?
I was just gonna mention, I think from my perspective, it's always been odd to me how it was just kind of half vacated,
Yeah,
and that half is the whole street, so it's from a transportation perspective, it's not great as it is, so overall, it's nice to see those dilapidated buildings taken down, and if you get onto Second and Rawson, they built a parking lot on that corner as well. So I think their plan is to do it very similarly with a nice fence and landscaping, things like that. So it'll be a very nice improvement and hopefully help alleviate some of that confusion of what is and isn't a road and where people should be driving.
The safety aspect is nice too. I know I've watched employees run across First Street and
Yeah,
like a game of Frogger.
yep.
yeah, but you might.
Hey, that's where I was watching them from, was the taco trucks.
Okay. Anything else?
So Molly, question. Once this is done, the red line going there, right there by her shed,
It'll be closed.
that'll be closed and cars can't come down that alley, past that shed, into that parking lot and go through that parking lot.
Right.
Right, so, cause if we vacate that and they replat it, then it would be private property. But that's why I brought up with like the curbing for like snow removal to still have like access. And with the site plan, we would have like easements, so like access easements and any easements for utilities, just to make sure like none of those are in conflict.
Okay, we'll close this meeting at 6:20. Okay, on to our public hearing number 2. This is for the proposed 25-year franchise agreement and establishment of a 4% franchise fee. Our Mid-American Energy Company franchise fee agreement is, or this, our agreement with them is coming to a halt. We need a new 25-year agreement. When we did the Alliant agreement, we upped our franchise fee from 2% to 4%. And so we'd like to do the same with Mid-America to make them even. And so we are going to open this public hearing at 6:21. Discussion.
So we talked about this a little bit at the last meeting, but just with the timing, when we adjusted the Alliant franchise fee and the renewal of Mid-American, we decided to just kind of wait and adjust Mid-American when it was closer to the time that it was up for renewal. So this would just be getting the Mid-American gas franchise fee and the Alliant electric franchise fee at the same rate. And helping out our general fund a little bit, but definitely one of those things for alternative revenues to keep services going the best we can, but yeah. Was there any other public comments?
Okay, being none, we'll close this public hearing at 6:22. Then item C, public hearing on the intent to dispose of public property for sale. We would like to propose the sale of a lot to Mr. Randy Dawson, located at 1624 West Third Street, which is adjacent to a piece of property that he already owns. So at what is it, 6:24, we will open this public hearing. So comments, please, discussion.
I think I touched about this at the last meeting, but I'll do another brief rundown. So we acquired this property through 657A in March of last year. There was a house that had a fire on it, so I believe soon after acquiring it, we went and removed that. So right now, the parcel and the square footage of it is non-conforming for the zoning designation that it's under. And so is Mr. Dawson's parcel right next door. So we felt like it was most appropriate to offload the property to him to then combine the parcels in the future and make a conforming lot.
Is it his responsibility to combine them, or is the city taking care of it?
So we have it in the agreement with him for him to do so in the next year after closing on it.
And that's just from filing with the county trade.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Sounds like a good use of a burnt out building.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion, comments?
I'll just add, I think we have done, is this 5 or 6, 657A properties where we actually petition the court to take title to property that's dilapidated and abandoned. So I think this is a great example of having a process to go through to be able to get a house, get it torn down, and then not just leave the lot in that property owner's hands and then forever we're still having to probably go do snow removal and mow it all summer. But it's a way to actually take title of the property and get it on the tax rolls. Previous conversations with Mr. Dawson, I think he has thoughts about adding on to the house, so that could lead to further improvements. So It's been a pretty good process for us to go through, and is leading to some really nice outcomes for us to, hopefully turn around some of these properties, and hats off to Molly and Liz for charging through those processes. So. We have lists. We have lists, don't worry.
Okay. Further discussion? Okay, we'll close this meeting at 6:26. So on to old business. So item A is resolution approving a purchase agreement for the sale of city-owned property. So as we just discussed, we got it through a 657A10. On February 18th, 2025, have we just approved or just received any comments? The public hearing. And so the proposal here is to sell this piece of property to Mr. Randy Dawson for the price of $5,000, and it directs myself and the city administrator to execute documents necessary to sell and transfer title to the described property. So could I have a motion, please?
Pass a resolution approving a purchase agreement for the sale of city-owned property.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion than what we had at the public hearing? Okay. Okay, could we have roll call, please?
Walling.
Yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Yes.
Schott.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Okay, on to item B, approval of GX number 6 for the CDBG contract number 23-HSGU 004. That's the amount of $44,160 drawn down on the upper story grant that was put through the city of Perry for the property located at 1306 Second Street, owned by the Nudgers Kern Managers LLC. So could I have a motion, please?
Make a motion, we approve GAX number 6 for CDBG contract number 23-HSGU 004.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
Okay. What's the conversion?
It just the construction and finishing of a couple of apartments on the upper story. Yep.
Drive down the alley, they redone the deck area in the back already and have back up or doing mechanicals inside, so it's moving along. Just not much on the front.
Stairway up front though, also, don't they?
The problem with the front is you can't do anything into the commercial space while you're working the upper story because they don't want you to siphon some of the money from the upper story to the commercial. So, but hopefully shortly after the apartments are done, then we'll get the nudgers to get in there and try to get somebody in the commercial spot. But
Have they made progress on the upper portion? Framing is up? Framing is up?
framing's all done. They're putting in the plumbing for the water heaters and HVAC units and starting to do some insulating on the, getting ready to spray insulate the ceiling, I think, so he said. So. Moving forward. Okay, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mahler.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Shelley.
Yes.
Walling. Yes. Schott.
Yes.
And again, we'd like to thank the state between this one and the Tin Pig, 2 projects that would probably not have been able to get done had the state not come in with some nice funding to help us get these apartments going. So they'll be nice when it's done and get them rented, revitalize downtown a little bit. So. Okay, on to new business. Item A, resolution of notice of intent to dispose of abandoned and unused and outdated property. So this is our annual sale for all the stuff that the police department has ended up with that no one has come to claim. So there was a listing in the in the minutes or in the packet of what's going to be there. The intent is to hold it on March 17th, 6 o'clock in the Clarion Room at Security Bank Building, 1102 Willis Avenue here in Perry. So could I have a motion, please?
I make a motion, we pass a resolution of notice and intent to dispose of abandoned and unused and outdated property.
I'll second that.
And that's just for a hearing.
Yes. So we
Okay.
have to do the hearing and it has to be published for 90 days prior to the sale. So the sale will be in June.
Yeah.
Yep, sorry. And remember, not everything on the list is sold. So a mass majority of it is destroyed.
This is my favorite read every year. And this year was a little disappointing. Rubber chicken. Rubber chicken was the only thing that really got me this year.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask if we applied for the permit to sell glass pipes or not.
Revenue, revenue, Susie.
The only one, and it said bullet, like just a bullet on that one, yeah. That was my second favorite.
Okay, mainly bicycles though, luckily. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, so motion or we have roll call, please.
Wally,
Yes.
Schott.
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Okay, so item B is a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding with Hearts of America Foundation for a mini pitch court. Plans were in the packet. It's basically gonna two mini football pitches constructed at Petty Park over where the old pool used to be long time ago that some of us remember still. Most of the money will be coming from grants and we have to do some electrical work and some concrete works, but other than that, the rest of it's all on the house. Looks like a really nice design and something we think we should work on. So could I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve item B, resolution approving a memorandum and understanding with Heart of America Foundation for mini pitch.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Can you explain to me what a mini pitch is?
Thank you, because I was going to feel embarrassed.
Yeah, so they're,
Basketball.
yeah, they're a miniature soccer court. There's one in town already that Musco Lighting donated to the elementary school. It's on the east side of the elementary school.
Okay,
It gets.
and
you-
that's called a mini pitch?
That's called a mini pitch, yeah.
Okay.
So, for this one in Petty Park, it's roughly about a $350,000 project. We will have possibly, at worst case scenario, we'll have about $80,000 wrapped up into that $350,000 project. Mike and Becky have both taken, quite the lead on this project, so I'd like to invite those guys up here a little bit, to kind of talk about their role in moving forward in this project.
So it's for soccer and
Basketball. Yep. So
And it's a hard
Heart,
surface.
but
It's a hard surface.
yep, it'll be concrete we put down. We've partnered, we've had some local sponsors step up and want to help us. We have Harlan Concrete, Castillo Construction and Hughes Excavation and Kurtz Electric. So we're working with them to put the concrete down over that area. And then Heart of America will come in 30 days after that. And then they will put in the tile, which will be the blue. And then they will also put in all of the surrounding as far as mini pitch equipment. And then we'll come in and then we will do the basketball hoops.
Yeah, so how this came about was, last year, I believe in March, April sometime, Musco Lighting reached out to us. And the school and wanted to put one in, they wanted to, donate one to the community, obviously with things that have happened. The school doesn't really have anywhere for it, they've already used their parking lot in the one area. Normally they come in and they want to put it on an already existing concrete, infrastructure because there's cost associated, right? We didn't really have that either because all our parking lots are, well, used for parking lots. So partnering with them, we kind of looked at our parks and decided, you know, just based on what we know, that Patty Park is, you know, it's the oldest park. There's stuff there, but there's not a lot. We do a lot of Friday Fest and July 4th celebrations down there. And we thought Petit was a great opportunity, and it has the old pool layout over there to where, you know, we could start to update that park and make it to a draw. And then I think, you know, from Becky and Marco's standpoint at the rec, you know, potentially run activities through that mini pitch. It gets used a lot by adults after hours when the schools close. I'm sure Jim's probably ran people off after hours. And stuff.
We did, I guess Becky and myself kind of worked on a grant, from T-Mobile for 50 grand. The Honorable, Mayor Dirk Kavanaugh has, some experience, filling out that T-Mobile grant. They gave us some money for the, all-inclusive playground in Weeks Park. So, he informed me that they were willing to give more to the city of Perry, so we kind of jumped after that, and hopefully we'll know more about that here in another month or so.
That's really cool. It used to be a really vibrant part of town when I was a kid, so.
Yeah,
We're very excited. It's been probably a year in the making as far as then going after grants and funds. And then Karen with Musco came to us probably a month or two ago and said, we're full force green light, we're doing this. So we're finally excited to kind of see this actually come.
Very cool.
Anything else? Okay, thank you all. Roll call, please.
Shelley,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Walling. Yes. Schott.
Yes.
Okay, item C is a resolution approving of a local match and authorizing submittal of a TAP grant application to CIRTPA, the Central Iowa Regional Transportation Planning Alliance. So this is through the DOT. It would be to build a trail from basically the high school up 18th Street, and then down Iowa Street and end up at the little park area that's going to be in the water retention area with the walking path. So it will allow people to walk up to the park, to walk around instead of driving up there. And then it's also could be used for people to walk to school from the apartments and that, instead of having to cut across Willis and go where there's no sidewalks currently. So could I have a motion, please?
Make a motion that we pass a resolution approving a local match and authorizing the submittal of a TAP grant application to Servco.
I'll second that.
Okay, and I should have mentioned that the total cost is $407,450. 20% share that the city would have is $81,490. And that would be an budget item in the fiscal year 2027 budget. So we apply now, but we won't use the money for a couple of years. Just how this grant works. So Sven, you wanna?
Sure. And I'll let maybe Jacob and Josh take this one.
So the TAP grant is a transportation alternatives program. So looking at alternative modes, there are some existing 5-foot sidewalks in there. But what we'd be looking at doing is upgrading that to an 8-foot wide sidewalk to match into the school system, going from the school across Willis Avenue with a shared median for pedestrian refuge crossing over that intersection, going down to Iowa Street. Then that would be on the east side, going along the north side of Iowa Street over to the Iowa Street parking lot for the improved project there. So kind of get some connectivity from the residential areas, some of the areas that don't have connections currently, and getting those tied to the school system and the trail system.
There's a lot of pedestrian traffic, especially when kids going to school down that area. And I think it would be a good safety thing.
Yeah.
To do there. And I've sat in on schooling for TAP grants in the past when I'm in sport and stuff, and they can be pretty competitive, but they usually do distribute funds to, depending on how many people. Usually when I've sat in, there's been 2 people a year, but I don't, it just depends who puts in. The 20% match is pretty reasonable for getting a $400,000 project for 80,000 at most. So.
Yeah, so we did submit this to SERPTA just to make sure it checked all the boxes on Friday. They did respond to us, letting us know that it did check all the boxes. Upon approval, they'll then put that into the grouping, verify which ones they want to move forward with, if they have the approval to move forward with it. And they select us, they move it into that next selection criteria.
Yeah, there's no sidewalks.
No.
No continuity.
One of the many connections on our lists to get trails and or sidewalks distributed throughout the community for full transportation mobility, whether it's to school or work or whatever. So good section to cross off the list. It's on the list.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Walling.
Yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Yes.
Schott.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Okay, item D and E are kind of related, but they're separate because they're different sections of the different chapters of the zoning regulations. But item D is a resolution setting a public hearing date on proposed zoning code amendment to chapter 165.38. And there's going to be proposed zoning changes. The public hearing would be on March 17th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Clarion Room at the Security Bank Building, located at 1102 Willis Avenue, Perry. So could I have a motion, please?
I make a motion, we approve resolution setting a public hearing date for proposed zoning code amendment to chapter 165.38.
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion, Molly.
Molly has been very busy.
Yes, we have. That's good.
So this kind of came to light with the Progressive Foundry's interest in doing a parking lot. So while kind of investigating the Central Heavy Industrial District, found some uses that are in conflict to our existing zoning code. So what I am proposing in this zoning amendment will hopefully clean some of that up. So tonight's just setting a hearing, but I'll do kind of a brief explanation of it. And then I know land use can be confusing, so I do want to extend out to each of you that if any of you want to sit down with me one-on-one and kind of go through it step by step, I'm more than happy to do that with you. So what you see there on the bottom right-hand corner is outlined in red, but the green area is the Central Heavy Industrial District. So it takes up about 6 blocks from West 2nd all the way to 6th Street in the middle of Perry. And currently there are some lots in town that are in conflict with the existing zoning code that abut against that Central Heavy Industrial District. Now, what those lots are existing today is parking lots. Now those lots in the zoning district that they are in are actually in the RD, so residential duplex, RM, residential multifamily, and then BC, central business commercial. And in those zoning chapters, accessory parking lots are seen as an accessory use, not a primary. So in proper zoning practice and in our zoning code, you can't have an accessory use without a primary on the same lot. So if we were to keep it existing without like a code amendment or change, how to make these conforming would be, one, we'd have to vacate the right of way between the primary use and the accessory. And then we would have to replat those lots into one lot. So we have the accessory and the primary on the same lot. And then you would have to rezone them because they're currently under 2 different zones. Obviously, we don't want to do that because we don't want to vacate streets that we need. So what I propose, and there's an attachment in the packet, but I can briefly run through it, is including a section in the Central Heavy Industrial District chapter that would allow for parking lots abutting within 75 feet of that, outlined industrial zone to be permitted in the RM, RD, and BC districts. Now, I think this is an appropriate reasoning because in the Central Heavy Industrial District, we do allow for, there is like 0-foot building setbacks, so people can build their buildings right up to the property line. And with, as we've seen, like additions happening over time and just businesses growing, it does leave the question of, well, where are my employees supposed to park? So what I propose in my amendment is allowing that within 75 feet. So that still kind of protects it from 75 feet is about a distance of like one lot across from the Central Heavy Industrial rectangle. And then I don't remember everything that I included. So ensuring that all the entrances and exits for those parking areas are abutting off the alleyway or roadway. And we always like to make sure that accesses are like across from each other, so making sure that they're appropriately located. Ensuring that SUDA's pavement setbacks are required and followed. And ensuring that this is solely for parking of employee vehicles. This is not for semis and trailers and storage. You know, we really want to be respectful of the residents and residential uses abutting this area. And then the last is requiring either like a landscape buffer or a privacy fence, some sort of screening to also kind of provide a buffer between those single family homes and the parking lot. So again, I can explain it more in detail if you need it separately, but just wanted to kind of explain that prior to the public hearing for next month.
Further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Klein,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Lawler.
Yes.
Walling. Yes. Schott.
Yes.
Okay. Then item E is a resolution setting the public hearing date on a proposed zoning code amendment to chapter 23.01. Again, we'll get that explanation, but it's going to be on the same date, March 17th, 2025, 6 p.m. in the Clarion Room at the Security Bank Building located at 1102 Willis Avenue, Perry, Iowa. Have a motion, please.
I make a motion, we approve resolution setting a hearing date on proposed zoning code amendment to chapter 23.01.
Okay. Further discussion?
So this is just a change. So right now, under our Planning and Zoning Commission code, we require 7 members. Right now we have 2 vacancies, and I thought it would be an appropriate time to maybe discuss bringing that down to 5. So per Iowa code, you're required to either have 5, 7, or 9 members, and that there is no rules depending on your population or anything. It's just, there's a requirement that you have to have one of those 3. From my discussions with Dewey, and my research of other similar towns of our size, 5 is an appropriate number. I also prefer 5 because when you have a quorum, and it is a volunteer board, so sometimes it is difficult to have everybody attend at the same time. But a quorum with a 5-member board is only 3, whereas with the 7-member board that we have today requires 4. So obviously I did bring this to Planning and Zoning, and they provided recommendation. And yeah, happy to answer any other questions.
Sounds good. Since we've already-
Also understand they've had a hard time getting people to take those positions when they become available. Hence, we always have vacancies. So
And they, so Iowa State Extension does offer trainings for planning and zoning and Board of Adjustments. And the commission has made that known to me that they would like to do that again. So with that being kind of an appropriate time to, if we want to keep 7, I want to make sure we have that filled prior to seeking that training.
further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Lawler.
Yes.
Walling. Shelley.
Yes.
Schott.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Okay, going to ordinances. Item A, ordinance vacating a portion of public right of way in the city of Perry, Dallas County, Iowa. So this is the first reading, and it's going to be the section of Rawson Street, east of First and west of Second Street, along with the south portion of the alley that runs between First and Second. We had a public hearing on it, so everybody knows about it. So could I get a motion, please?
Motion that we pass the ordinance vacating a portion of the right of way in the city of Perry, Dallas County, Iowa.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion than what was had during the public comment?
Just as a reminder, this is the first reading. I will be putting it on the agenda if it passes tonight for a second. For what I have learned, I will put it on there as a second reading, possible third reading. Does not mean you have to waive the rules, but if you so choose to waive the rules, it is listed that there is a possibility that the rules will be waived in the third reading. Can be helpful. Yep.
Got it.
Just don't want anybody to freak out on the agenda for the next meeting.
But we will reach out to the people on that block and make sure they all receive something between now and then, so. Okay, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Walling,
Yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, item B is an ordinance amending the code of ordinance chapter 10, natural gas franchise. So basically, this is, what we're going to increase the franchise fee on Mid-America with the new 25-year agreement. The franchise fee would go from 2% to 4%. From our public comment here today. So again, this is the first reading, and everything has been published in the Prairie Chief on February 6, 2025. So could I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve item B, ordinance amending the code of ordinance, chapter 110, natural gas franchise.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
A little bit of financial benefits.
We get 2% more. Is it about $50,000?
For like the 2%, so.
Yep.
100 for 4. Depending on
So-
the weather, of course, on warm years, we get a lot less.
And that's on the warm years kind of balanced out with Alliant and air conditioning versus gas heat and things like that. So. But this would bring both of them to 4%. And the statutory maximum set by the state is 5%. So we still, like, we're not at the maximum, so depending on budget or future decisions that need to be made, there would be a little bit of wiggle room left in that.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Shelley,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Walling. Yes. Schott.
Yes.
And if there's no further business, we will adjourn. Thank you all.